we have a special edition. Today, we're going to be bringing on a couple of my co hosts from Psychic News Report, and we are going to be talking about Catherine, Princess of Wales. We just received an update just 5 hours ago, so we'll be discussing that. Some people think that she's in worse condition than they're portraying, and then some people think she's going to be returning to royal duties in the near future. That's what we're going to be breaking down today in this episode. Let me go ahead and bring up my wonderful guest here, and let's go ahead and switch the screen. We have Annabelle, and then we have Rick. We all are on the Psychic News Report together. And real quick, Annabelle, can you introduce yourself a little bit? We would like to maybe learn about, how did you get into tarot reading? How did you become a psychic? We'd be interested in learning a little bit about your story.
Sure thing. So, the origin story, my grandfather was very close with him. He passed away when I was about 10 years old, and he showed up, just to tell me that everything was going to be okay after he passed away. Once that happened, it kind of was on. I had a lot of precognition about different events, what someone would describe as good instincts. So when I was about 17, I had a friend's mom suggested that I try tarot cards and some other tools of divination to channel my craft, so to speak, so that it wasn't quite so chaotic and willy-nilly. I did it casually, all through college. I did do it professionally through college as a side gig. And I just did readings for my friends for the last 25 years. During the pandemic, a friend of mine lost her job. I offered to do a reading. She did readings too. I said, well, let's set up an online business. Let's take advantage of everybody sitting home and having some fun. And it just kind of took off from there. So I do have a channel, Fortune Cookies Tarot, on YouTube and other social media. I also teach classes. I have a website, fortunecookiestarot.com, and sloppyshuffletarot.com as well. So, I'm just having fun. The latest update is that we started to work together with Rick Paul and Rob Akampora as a collaborative project. Secretly, my main goal was to have a Christmas party this year. So wanted to hang out with some other like-minded people and have an online Christmas party.
Absolutely. That's an awesome goal. Next, we are going to Rick Paul. Rick Paul, if you can, give us a little bit about, what exactly you do and maybe how you got into it. It says that you're a fallen angel and an alien life form. So maybe you can break that down for us a little bit in detail.
Well, very briefly, because there is a big backstory to this, but we're not going to deep dive into that. Basically, what you're looking at here is an ex-prison officer of 12 years service, and coming towards the end of that time, I was in a state of really mental distress. I would say quite a lot of anxiety and darkness around me. And I knew I had to make that decision to come out of that career. And I found myself working on building sites and doing manual labouring to bring in some wages. And I looked up one day and I saw my granddad in full spirit form in the corner of the garage that I was working in, which when you're a black and white kind of guy that's had no spiritual experience whatsoever, and you're just fascinated by it, but seeing somebody who's been dead for 10 years just suddenly there in the corner of the room takes some explaining. And I've said this many times to people that adrenaline's actually got a colour of its own, as I discovered that day, because it frightened the bejesus out of me, I'll put it that way. So mine has been a series of synchronicities where I needed to ask questions of people that had got better knowledge of me and try and explain what on earth was going on. So I've gone from sort of local church services and going there to see people doing the spiritual work to now evolving into doing it myself. Always had a curiosity about the spiritual nature of people, and I'm fascinated by how they're connected in. My journey's been about actually picking up tools. So you're asking about the fallen angel, the alien life form. Well, we'll break that down quite simply. The fallen angel was as a result of a dream that came in, and probably only this year. about that. I'd ask spirit, universe, God, whatever it is that you want to know it as, what my role was in spiritual promotion, helping people. Because I knew I always want to help people, but I didn't know what my role was, how I was going to facilitate that. And they basically showed me holding up a light. And the dream was, have you got it yet? And I'm like, I don't really understand what it is that you're talking to me about. You know, laid there at 4 o'clock in the morning, bleary eyed, trying to make sense of this message that's coming in. And they basically showed me holding this torchlight up for people to discover their own path. So I've known myself as the healer's healer now, kind of like a spiritual battery charger. And the fallen angel comes about because that is what spirit told me that I am. I am another life form that's come back, that's been reincarnated to help people progress forward. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't truthfully know. And the alien life form is purely down to a Mickey take of one of the earlier videos that I did with Annabelle. That one of the comments was that I was a spiritual gangster because I'm quite mouthy and speak my truth, whether people like it or not. And then another comment came in and said that this guy's from another planet. He's actually a humanoid in an alien suit. So I'm just playing to my camera there, Thor, that I'm an alien life form. If that's what people want to believe, I'm happy to play the full card there. So that's a little bit about me. I've just basically loved doing this. I'm still in awe of it all. I haven't got many years of experience, but I just love doing this sort of thing. And whatever comes in for me.
Perfect. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Annabelle. Well, today, by the way, before we go into that, I want you all to know that I'm going to include Rick's and Annabelle's information down below in the detail box. So make sure you check out their channels, subscribe to all of our channels. Okay, I forgot to bring that up. Hit the notification bell on all of our channels. And also, I'm going to include the links too if you want to get a private reading with any of us down in the description box as well. Now, let's get to the matter at hand, because a lot of my subscribers, they are absolutely into the royal family news. They want to know everything. They want to know about King Charles. They want to know about Queen Camilla. They want to know about, Catherine, Princess of Wales, Prince William, Meghan and Harry. So we're going to just get down to it. Today, we're going to focus on Catherine, Princess of Wales, because of, like I said in the intro there, we're really focused on what is really going on with Catherine, Princess of Wales. There's kind of been a lot of hushness about it. For example, I know they did tell us that there was a cancer diagnosis, but we don't really know a whole lot of specifics about it or the severity about it. We've been told that there's a preventative chemotherapy that's happening. And now there's speculation about, maybe they're trying to bring us into the idea that she could be returning to royal duties in the near future. Now, what I'm going to do with this, we're going to go to my guest first. We're going to get their opinion, and then we'll go and look at the astrology chart as well. Rick, if you would be so kind, we're going to go to your opinion first. Rick Paul, he's got a lot of intuitive abilities and psychic abilities. So let's go ahead and put you up on home plate there. Rick, what do you think's going on with this whole Catherine, Princess of Wales?
Yeah, I mean, actually living in the UK, our media has this wonderful toxic habit of building people up to this iconic status, and then for some reason having this innate ability to tear them down. And I do find the media frustrating. And my take on all of this is that she's sort of tied up in formality, that whatever the illness is, that she's very poorly with it. But because of the expectations and the royal duties and the lineage that she's managed into, we can't just suddenly turn around and say, right, she's really poorly, she's going to be out of the loop for the next year while she recovers. No, we've got to drum up all of this speculation, because news like that of saying that she's poorly and she's going to be out of the system for a while won't sell newspapers, won't sell anything on the media, because they thrive over here. I don't know what your guys are media about. They thrive on this salacious gossip.
I think the US media is the same way.
And
They
it's
love the
agree.
royalties.
so for me, I mean, we did discuss about the potential of the thing with the chemotherapy. Well, for me, it doesn't really hold up. I just it. I'm not a big royal fan one way or the other, but my heart goes out to her as a human being, from one human being to another, to just leave her alone to naturally heal, because there's obviously something wrong, right?
Yeah.
Now, what that severity is, I don't truthfully know. I get the sense that it's serious, or she would have been in and out, whatever that procedure was that she had towards the end of last year. She would have been in and out and back on her feet again. The fact that there's been that delay says to me, it shows how serious it is. My thought process is about this recent news is that it's being rushed. Now,
Okay.
what I do feel will happen is that maybe it, and if you've watched these videos carefully where she came out with her family and give everybody the sort of thank you for the support and all that sort of thing, there are lots of pictures of somebody that looks very similar. So will she come back soon?
Oh, wow.
Yes, I believe that she will. Do I honestly 100% hand on heart believe that it is actually her? Not so sure. But it's like with everything, that the show must go on, that duty for me exceeds like the her needs. It's a big machine here. It's big business, and the time and tide waits for no man. So it's just my sense that if she's coming back, will it be her? Now, I know that sounds a bit conspiracy theorist tin hat, but I'm very much of like, take a step back and have a look there. If you've got somebody that's been that poorly, and then you're saying that she needs time out, why all of a sudden is there this big push, this big rush to get her back into that circle? Because there's enough people that can step in and do her duty, because the royal family is huge. So they could let her be at peace, but for me, they're not letting it. So I think there's lots of developments yet to come. There's lots of salacious gossip to look at, and there'll be a feeding frenzy, however it turns out. So the poor lady, I won't going to say lass, but that's how I speak over here. The poor lady is not going to be at peace for a long, long time yet.
Now, Rick, do you feel that the situation is more serious than they were portraying in the media, or do you feel that what's your intuition about that?
That it's very serious.
Okay.
That it's very serious, and we spoke off camera about my theory about candy flossing. So I feel that sometimes you're just fed enough to keep you interested, but you're being kind of like misdirected. It's like the magician with the sleight of hand. There's an element of truth in there somewhere, but my gut feeling, my honest feeling, the intuition there is there's a lot more going on than we're currently allowed to see.
Yeah.
So I believe it's more serious.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, I think that, and we're going to look at the astrology chart after we talk to Annabelle for a moment, but I do feel like it's more serious than they let on originally. Let's go ahead and get Annabelle's take on this. Annabelle, so we've been talking about the royals on both of our channels for quite a while now. And so I would really like to get your take on this specific subject. We talked about a few questions there about maybe how serious was this from the beginning, and then will we be seeing Catherine, Princess of Wales, in the near future? Annabelle, we're going to give it to you. What you think about this whole situation?
So I did throw some cards, but I'm going to do a lot of psychic stuff on this, and I'm going to do a little bit of a remote view. I started to remote view it when we started this session. So, and I just want a disclaimer before we got started, when we were in the green room, I said, I think we're going to see her sooner because there's been a lot of buzz. There's a new portrait of her that's on the cover of the Tatler. She was given credit in a video that William participated in as a producer of it. So it looks like they're trying to push her forward a little bit. And intellectually, I said, I think we're going to see her sooner than later. Now that I've thrown the cards, I'm going to disagree. For my tarot enthusiasts, I got 10 of Pentacles in reverse, Page of Swords, 4 of Wands in reverse, Death card, Queen of Wands in reverse, dominant energy is the Queen of Swords in reverse. The shadow energy, I did get 2 cards on that, which is the Five of Cups and the Devil in reverse. So I think we're going to see another surgery with her.
Okay.
I
And
do
by the way,
think,
everyone, this is for entertainment purposes only. We're just speculating.
I do sense that there is some sort of apparatus, medical apparatus that she has to wear. Now,
Oh.
that can be when people are getting chemotherapy, they do get the ports, they, so it's easier to put it in, they spare the veins. But I'm getting that there's some kind of apparatus in addition to that. If there is one, I'm not getting that there is a port. I think, and I was always uncomfortable with the words preventative chemotherapy.
Yeah,
I
that's what I've been seeing.
I don't think that it was preventative. I think it was a necessary chemotherapy. And I do feel that there may be some level of a radiation project that they have to do as well. When I started to remote view her, I do think that they're on Windsor property at Adelaide Cottage, which is a beautiful cottage. The history is really adorable. It's a regular house, like in terms of what Amner House, their other property, which is colossal. It is more of a regular, human sized house. And I do get the sense that she's there, that really is a good recovery place for her because it's private. They don't have a lot of staff living in the house with them. They have staff that's living outside of the house. I see her packing. I think we're going back to the hospital for a couple of days. I don't know if we're going to hear about this in the news, but I do think that we're going to go back to the hospital. They need to tinker with something. There's a lot of swords in this reading, the Page of Swords and the Queen of Swords. So I do think that maybe some more medical procedures need to be done. I got a quick glimpse of the kids. The 2 older ones are on great behavior. Louis a wild card. He's a little bit of, he's very young. But the 2 children are really participating and helpful. They have included them to a certain extent. Intellectually, they do know some of the information that's going on. They're kind of walking them through the steps, which I think is admirable. And it does show that those 2 children are quite precocious. William, I see him really trying to do that balancing act between taking care of her and taking care of business. So there's a balancing act there. As far as the credit on this video, I think it was done to kind of throw the public a bone. I think that it was put out there to say, look, she's working behind the scenes. She's not up front. And for those of us that love her image, her hair has thinned a bit, but it's not falling out. So I know a lot of people, a lot of her haters were like, oh, she's going to lose that fabulous head of hair. I don't think she's going to lose it. Chemotherapy's come a long way. There are only certain ones that really kind
Yeah,
of
it doesn't happen to everybody, right? Where
it doesn't
it
happen
falls
to
out.
everybody. It's come a long way. It used to be much more wholesale caustic to the body itself. There is a lot of support that she's getting physically from non-traditional medical methods. So they are using a lot of, one would say, holistic
Holistic.
methods.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do feel that there's a strong push toward like an Ayurveda diet, that kind of a thing. So she is thin. I do feel that she's lost, and she was thin to start with. I feel like she's
Yeah.
lost some more weight. There's been some muscle wasting there. But that's something that one would expect when one is sick, quite frankly.
Absolutely. Annabelle, thank you for your take on this. You gave us a lot of details to hone in on with this whole situation. It's quite fascinating. And by the way, Annabelle took me through a remote view session. I was looking at Prince Harry. Maybe we can make another video on that in the future here. But yeah, so I was doing a little bit of a remote view. Maybe I was intruding a little bit. But I did the
I love
meditation.
remote viewing. It's
And,
nosy, but it's fun.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. And we listened to a meditation. We did that remote view. So what I'm going to do for everybody right now is we're going to take a look at the astrology chart of Catherine, Princess of Wales. And I'm just going to get an update of what's going on astrologically. One of the things that is affecting all of us right now is the eclipses And then we have this really intense Mars energy, Mars conjunct Rahu on May 18th. You notice that that was right around the time, and this is not related to the royal news, but there's a lot of events happening around the world right around May 18th. So you can already see the energies are very powerful. And then May 26th, there's also more crazy energies with Mars crossing the eclipse degree in the chart. Let's put up Catherine, Princess of Wales chart for a moment. All right, so let me go ahead and draw on that. I've got to get my stylus first. So this is Catherine, Princess of Wales chart. One thing I want to point out is I do like to look at, and I'm going to scroll down for a second here. In Vedic astrology, there's this thing called the Vimshatari Dasha, which are planetary timelines that all of us are on right now. So each one of you watching this right now, you're all on a planetary timeline. Basically, it's the energy that's affecting your life at the moment. So if you take a look at this, Catherine, Princess of Wales, she's in Mercury, Saturn. Mercury, Saturn. So these are the two planets we want to look at. And that's from July 2023 to we got April 2026. A lot of these sub periods, they last about 1 or 2 years. So they do give us quite a bit of information. Let me scroll up on the chart now. All right, so let me clean that up. So July 2023 to April 2026, she's in the Mercury Saturn period. That's a lot of, that actually explains quite a bit. The fact that she's in the Saturn period till April of, 2026, that gives us a lot of information. And I'm just double checking. So April of 2026. Saturn is the planet, right off the top of my head, it's always the planet of heavy karma. It's always the planet of, it's giving us severe, it makes us face our mortality. It makes us face our lives. And Saturn in Catherine, Princess of Wales, I was about to use the Kate Middleton. I know some of you don't like that. But Saturn in the chart is in the sign of Virgo with Mars. This is a very conflictive placement, by the way. And Prince William also has Mars and Saturn together in the chart. People that were born around this time in 1982, in 1981, a lot of people have that placement of Saturn and Mars together for some reason. A lot of the charts I'm reading. So the Saturn in the sign of Virgo, first of all, I do want you to know Virgo represents the digestive tract. So I do want to put that out there. It does represent things like your intestines, your stomach, your colon. So I do want to put that out there. Remember, this is entertainment purposes only. But when Saturn is there, astrologically, it can mean that there's a dense energy in that area of your body. Okay. Each one of these signs. Oh, Rick, did you have something?
Well, all I'm going to say is I don't know anything about astrology, but it's just funny that I'm an energy intuitive worker and I work purely based on the energy and the feeling around things. You started talking and the communication and the cough actually came from quite deep down. And
okay,
this for me, I would interpret this as, potentially literally, as we're saying, I'm not a doctor, but my sense is that she hasn't got the ability to speak and communicate for herself. So everything's been kind of like organized around her and she's having to sort of fit the profile. So whatever's happening to her is actually happening to her rather than her being actively involved in it. I think there's a lot of decisions being made for her. And I entirely agree with what you said there about what's been like throwing the bone out for people. I'm still sat here and all of this energy is coming up from around the root chakra, which is foundations and strength and self-love and building and rebuilding. And I feel really, really blocked. And I keep wanting with the energy to go, and it's just, it's sat there
it's
like
a stuck energy that it's.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's toxic, because I don't think it's attached to somebody, but it's not pleasant. And I really feel, so I don't know where the bile duct is, but this is what is coming through for me around the bile duct. And I can't seem to shift it. I don't know whether that's relevant or not, because I've got no prior knowledge of it. All I'm saying is people trigger me and listening to you guys, that is what has triggered me. There's something around communication and the throat and around, and it's not nice. It is not nice at all to sit there with it. So I really think you're onto something there, Thor, but you've got more evidence than me.
So do I, Thor, because I get the sense that there's that the apparatus that I was talking about. I don't think it's a port. I think it's something near the abdomen. I think there's some kind of apparatus going on there. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I've been saying that for a while, but I've been trying to be polite about it.
Okay. Okay, that gives us, I'm open to all, when we talk about astrology, one of the things I want to point out, and let me put up here for a moment. Astrology is a form of divination. So if you think about it, when you're born, the planets are in certain places in the sky, and then we're just interpreting where those planets are, and we're interpreting the energies, just like somebody would interpret tarot cards or runes. I've heard about people that can read like coffee grinds or tea leaves in their cups.
I can.
I had a coworker that could just touch my hand and get information about me at my old job. But anyways, let's go back to the astrology chart. Let's get a little bit more information. One of the things that and let's see if I can pull that back up. Hang on, everybody. Okay, here we go. So one of the things I wanted to point out with this is you brought up the sense that there's this, she's not really making her own decisions right now. And I feel like the astrology chart actually, it does support that. So remember, Saturn is the ruling planet right now as far as the planetary timeline. And the third house, so we talked about Virgo and what it represents as far as body parts. But when Saturn in the third house represents things like media communications. So media, it even represents like social media, phone calls, text, daily mentality. I also want to bring that up. Okay. Now the third house is interesting. So you ever have situations where you're in an elevator with people and there's kind of that uncomfortable like small talk that you have with people, like, did you see the game today, or how's the weather? Oh my gosh, it's raining. The third house rules those kind of conversations. They're like scripted conversations. So when Saturn is in the third house with Catherine, Princess of Wales, what it represents is there is kind of this script. Okay. There's this script that is being followed. And this is, remember, Saturn represents the establishment, the powers that be. You're being suppressed. You have to go to a certain script of things that have to be. Now, because Saturn's involved and Saturn rules the 8th house, I do feel like from the beginning of this, I do want to say I do feel like this is pretty serious. The situation is very serious. Probably more so than what they want to let on, because I do feel like the public would be scared a little bit about the situation. Catherine, Princess of Wales, she's extremely popular. I mean, people love her. And so there's this idea of that, I don't think that they would let it, even if it was extremely volatile situation. I don't even know if we would know up to the, until up to the very point of something really bad happening. But I do feel like also, and I do want to point this out as well, I don't think it's necessarily a nefarious thing. I also feel like the idea is they want people to be hopeful. Like, why would you want people to think, this is really dire, we don't know if this is going to, work out. The one thing that I talked about in my previous video about Catherine was, and let me put up the chart again right here, was Jupiter just had recently changed signs into the sign of Taurus. This was recently, and this is going to be here for the next year. This is kind of that planetary grace that's coming in. Okay. So I do feel like there is a slow amount of healing that's taking place right now. Saturn is currently transiting the 8th house of her chart. This is slow healing. Okay. This is like life-changing. This transit's going to last till March of 2025. I tend to feel, if in the original question of my video, I tend to feel that if we get some sort of public, I feel like it's going to be very scripted, maybe an appearance just with the family to take some pictures. My feeling is with these energies, she's in a very hard recovery right now. And I feel like we're going to get very limited appearances. I don't feel like she's going to be going to, and now I know that various royal figures, they have like different charities that they sponsor, that they're a part of, and they give talks, they go out and they meet the public. I don't feel like we're going to be getting much of that. I feel like it's going to be maybe little videos, just like the video we got, what was it, a few months ago of her on like a park bench, where people were even just spitting. I think we're going to get very choreographed events. And so I tend to agree with everybody, but I don't see her like seriously returning the royal duties. Even people are trying to say, they were saying as soon as June, like next month. I don't feel that. What is your final verdict on that? Annabelle, we'll go to you first.
I think we are going to see the same thing that you just described. I think we're going to see choreographed videos, maybe small events where individuals come to her. I don't see her straying from home very much. I don't see her getting in vehicles and going out to events. I pulled a few more cards. King of Pentacles, not moving, not going anywhere. We're staying put. The Chariot card is the shadow energy here. We're moving forward, but in a health perspective, not in a media getting out there work perspective. There are a few individuals, I think, courtiers that are kind of drumming their fingers, going, "Well, we've got to figure something out about this. We've got to work with this." And I think that the family, specifically King Charles, is really saying, we're not doing that. We're going to give her the grace and the time to heal up.
We're going to hit the
He's
brakes.
actually, he's more of the decision maker on her exposure, more so than William, which I think is really tremendous. He does have a great deal of fondness for her. And I think he really wants to protect her from overdoing it. His philosophy that I'm getting is, well, I'm an old man. I'm already in the top seat. I've got plenty of people that are working around me. We need to give her this grace because eventually she is going to be queen one day. So, but I do feel the same thing that you do about the slow healing, which slow healing sometimes is the best kind of healing, especially when you're dealing with a monster like cancer. But do think that there's a little bit of impatience on her part. I think she wants to get back to life as it used to be, and I think there's some courtiers that are being removed from her presence because they're just a little too antsy about getting her back to work.
Absolutely. Thank you, Annabelle, for your opinion there. And Rick, I guess we'll give you the final word here on what do you think the royal duties? Could we be seeing her in June, or are you kind of in agreement, or okay? What are you saying?
Matt, I agree with quite a bit of what you said, Annabelle, there. But my feeling is with her, and this is where I have to trust my intuition rather than my personal opinion, is that her biggest ally, I think, is Queen Camilla. Because I think that she can take to a certain point an outsider's perspective. She's being brought up in the environment of the royals. That's been part of her life for many years, and I think she's the one that bridges a lot of the gaps, and she's the one that I think that behind the scenes will sort of soften the corners about the traditional things that this must happen. My sense about the video in the first place was that from a younger person's perspective, that was a test to see how that was received. If it had been received badly, then she may well have been rushed back out onto the circuit for the more traditional people to sit there. And for me, there's this horrible feeling that when somebody's got cancer, it alters their appearance. And like you talked about, muscle wastage and people looking poorly. They end up being a spectacle and people gawk at them, and it can't be nice for anybody. So I think that in a structured, safe surrounding, that like when you have the Oscars and things like that, where people don't actually show up to collect the award, they do something in the background. So they're still in touch, and they're still doing what they need to do. I mean, she's, despite how ill she is, she's still going to have that compassion for her projects and everything that she believes in. But no, I don't believe that she'll be back anytime soon. And if she is, I would be scrutinising the TV and the presentation with a fine tooth comb, because I think it'd be a stand-in. I'm going to be a bit controversial with that, but yeah, King Charles, yeah, I think he'll probably want to be in that place where he's learned from previous dealings with the media in regards to his previous wife. I don't know how we're supposed to put the lid on that one, but I think that he will be in that mindset of once bitten, twice shy. So I believe that they'll all be rallying round to protect it, and kind of like over here, bugger traditionalism. So like you're saying, that the people in the background that are a bit antsy and rushing her back, I think ultimately it'll be like, I'm gaffer, I'm boss. The book stops with me, so I'll make the decision. And purely because of the protection element that's needed, because like you say, one day she is going to be queen.
Absolutely. I just want to thank both of my guests, unless you have something more you wanted to add, Annabelle.
So yeah, just a little bit. There was some discussion about Balmoral. Now, Balmoral is the traditional summer holiday house for the royal family, and typically they all go there for about, I think it's about 6 weeks that they head up there. There was some discussions after Queen Elizabeth II died that Balmoral would be turned into a more public location. I think that this summer they are going to go up there. I think she's going to convalesce up there, but I have a feeling it's going to be the last summer. So I
As a
think they will
private
make,
kind of
yeah,
event.
I think they'll make it a little bit more public, and people will go up there. But I think until they get through the summer holiday, and I hate to say get through because I would imagine it's wonderful to be up there. Until they get through the summer holiday, I don't think we're going to see her. And that runs in alignment with what I think, and I'm not going to disclose it on here. I think I've dropped enough hints. What I think has happened to her, where this cancer is, that's in alignment with whatever apparatus they would need to apply to get her through the healing process. So I do think, we'll see her sometime in the fall. I think that there's a tinkering surgery that's going to go on presently, but there'll be another one in the fall that will kind of be the finalization of things. So,
Okay.
I don't think we're going to see too much of her, but Rick, if there is a video that comes out, I'll scrutinize it with you.
Perfect. I want to thank both of my guests for being on this episode today. And I also want to point out, if you want to book a reading or you want to subscribe to any of their channels, check down below for details. Also, please comment. We want to hear all of your comments. What do you think's going on? Do you think there's more going on beyond the eye, more going on with what the media's reporting to us? Let us know. Thank you so much. I'll, of course, be releasing more videos on the royals, and also make sure to catch me tomorrow on Psychic News Report with my other colleagues here. And we'll be talking about some of the news that's happening around the world, especially this last week. There's been a lot of stuff going on. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
Thanks, Thor.